Welcome to Cobalt Dew on Sleeping Geodes, a soothing and enchanting sleep story designed to gently guide you into a state of deep relaxation and peaceful slumber. We're so glad you've chosen to spend this time with us. If you find comfort and calm in this journey, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more restful content like this. Before we venture into the tranquil Geode Valley, we'll begin with a gentle breathing guidance to help you unwind and prepare for rest. Should you wish to drift directly into the story, you can find the timestamps for each chapter conveniently listed in the description below. Take a moment now to find your most comfortable position. Allow your body to settle deeply into your mattress or chair, feeling the full support beneath you, letting go into its embrace. Adjust your pillows, draw up your blankets, creating a warm, secure haven just for you, a personal sanctuary for this time of quiet. This is your dedicated time to release the concerns of the day and welcome a profound sense of quiet into your evening. Let the gentle atmosphere of the Geode Valley begin to soothe you, preparing you for a journey into deep tranquility, perhaps imagining the faint shimmer of cobalt blue in the quiet dark, cool, and serene. Let's take a calming breath together now. Inhale slowly and deeply through your nose, feeling the air fill your lungs effortlessly, easily, like the clean air of the valley. Then exhale softly through your mouth, perhaps with a gentle sigh, releasing the breath completely, letting it carry away any lingering tension. With each cycle of breath, feel your body becoming heavier, softer, sinking more deeply into comfort. Imagine the cool, pure air filling you on the inhale, refreshing and clearing, and then washing away any tightness or worry as you exhale. Picture the immense, smooth geodes resting peacefully on the valley floor, radiating a quiet, ancient calm, feeling their grounding presence. If your mind wanders, gently acknowledge the thought without judgment, like noticing a distant, soft bird call, and then kindly guide your focus back to the sensation of your breath or the steady sound of my voice. There is nothing else required of you right now but to rest, listen, and allow the story to gently carry you toward sleep. Feel the palpable stillness of the valley settling around you. Sense the quiet, low hum of ancient peace resonating softly. Let the soothing properties of the Cobalt Dew metaphorically wash over you, easing your mind and preparing your body for deep restorative rest. Now, let us begin our journey into the heart of Geode Valley, where the gentle magic of stillness awaits to guide you into serene sleep. Chapter 1. The Whispering Approach. The path into Geode Valley wasn't marked by any grand sign or gateway, only by a subtle shift in the air, a growing sense of quietude that seemed to press gently against the ears, hushing the world outside. Kaelen felt it as a welcome balm, a softening of the edges of a persistent inner restlessness that had traveled with him for so long. The late afternoon sun, already beginning its slow descent behind the western hills, cast long, soft shadows that stretched like sleepy fingers across the undulating land. The air, which had been warm during the day's travel, now carried a distinct coolness, tinged with the clean, dry scent of dust and sun-baked stone, and a fainter underlying note of damp earth, hinting at moisture held deep within the ground. As Kaelen rounded a final gentle curve between two low-weathered mounds of earth, the valley proper opened before them. It was vast, far larger than the whispered tales had suggested, a wide basin cradled by ancient rolling hills whose slopes were worn smooth by time and wind. Scattered across the valley floor like colossal beads dropped from a giant's necklace were the geodes. They were immense, some easily the size of the small crofter's cottage Kaelen had sheltered in weeks ago, others smaller, but all possessing a remarkable smoothness, their surfaces catching the declining light in soft, muted tones of gray, ochre, and dusty rose. There was an undeniable presence about them, a feeling of immense age and profound slumber. A gentle breeze, born somewhere in the higher slopes, sighed down into the valley. It moved through the sparse clumps of hardy pale green grass that dotted the landscape, creating a soft, rhythmic shush, shush sound. It wasn't quite a whisper, more like a gentle exhalation, a sound that seemed to invite Kaelen's own breath to deepen and slow in response. Kaelen paused, listening, feeling the tension that had been unconsciously held in their shoulders begin to ease, melting away like morning mist under this gentle, persistent sound. The quiet here wasn't empty. It felt full, resonant, holding the echoes of millennia of stillness. Kaelen walked further into the valley, footsteps making only a soft, crunching sound on the mineral-rich soil. The path wasn't defined, simply the easiest way between the slumbering giants of stone. Reaching out, Kaelen tentatively touched the surface of one of the smaller geodes. It was cool now in the advancing twilight, smooth as worn river stone beneath the fingertips, yet with an underlying texture that spoke of its crystalline nature within. There was a solidity, an undeniable groundedness to it that felt deeply reassuring. Kaelen felt a quiet sense of awe, not of the dramatic kind, but a gentle wonder at the patient artistry of nature. Finding a large, flat-topped rock nestled near the base of a particularly massive geode, Kaelen decided to rest. The rock itself still retained a surprising amount of warmth from the day's sun, a gentle, comforting heat that seeped through Kaelen's simple traveling cloak and into weary muscles. Settling onto the stone, leaning back slightly against the cool, unyielding curve of the geode behind, Kaelen let out a slow breath they hadn't realized they were holding. The warmth from the rock below felt wonderfully grounding, a connection to the earth's steady presence. From this vantage point, Kaelen watched as the light continued to soften. The sky overhead transitioned through pale washes of lavender and peach near the horizon, deepening to a soft indigo directly above. No sharp edges remained. Everything was diffused, gentle. The contours of the distant hills blurred, and the geodes themselves seemed to gather the fading light, their surfaces holding a soft luminescence that wasn't quite a glow, but a deep saturation of color before the night fully claimed them. The air grew cooler still, carrying that clean scent of minerals more strongly now. There were no sounds of settlement here, no distant calls of people or animals, only the gentle sighing of the breeze through the grasses, and occasionally the far-off, flute-like call of a bird settling down for the night somewhere high on the valley rim. These sounds didn't intrude on the quiet. They seemed part of it, threads woven into the vast tapestry of stillness. It was a peace that felt ancient, undisturbed, a silence that wasn't empty, but deeply restful. Kaelen closed their eyes for a moment, focusing only on the sensations, the warmth of the rock beneath, the cool curve of the geode at their back, the gentle touch of the breeze on their face, the soft sounds, the clean air filling their lungs. The restlessness that had been a constant companion felt distant now, quieted by the valley's immense calm. It wasn't gone, perhaps, but it was resting, subdued by the sheer weight and peace of this place. Looking around again as the first faint stars began to prick the deepening indigo canvas above, Kaelen felt a sense of arrival, not just physically, but emotionally. This valley, with its slumbering stones and whispering grasses, felt like a sanctuary, a place where one could simply be without striving or struggling. The journey had been long, driven by a hope for respite, and here, surrounded by this profound tranquility, it felt as though that hope might finally find purchase. Feeling the gentle weight of tiredness settle upon them, not the agitated exhaustion of worry, but the pleasant heaviness that comes after a day of purposeful movement ending in peace, Kaelen drew their cloak a little tighter. There was no rush to find shelter, no urgency. For now, it was enough to simply sit, held between the warm earth and the cool stone, and let the valley's deep, quiet welcome wash over them, feeling the day gently release its hold, breath by slow breath. Chapter 2. First Drops of Cobalt. The deep stillness of the valley night had wrapped around Kaelen like the softest wool, bringing a depth of rest that felt restorative. Before the first hint of dawn could lighten the eastern hills, a soft sound stirred Kaelen from slumber. It was Reese, the valley's caretaker, moving with a quiet grace that barely disturbed the profound silence. Reese offered a gentle nod of greeting, their eyes holding a calm warmth that mirrored the valley itself. There was an unspoken invitation to follow, and Kaelen rose, feeling surprisingly refreshed, the usual morning stiffness eased by the night's deep peace. Reese led the way, not towards any dwelling, but further amongst the giant geodes, their outlines vast and mysterious in the pre-dawn dimness. The air was cool and carried the scent of damp earth, and that unique, clean, mineral tang now heightened. Starlight, faint but clear in the moonless sky, seemed to pool on the very tops and upper curves of the geodes, casting an ethereal, silvery illumination upon the smooth surfaces. Reese moved slowly, deliberately, each footstep placed with care on the soft earth, conveying a sense of reverence for the sleeping stones and the quiet magic about to unfold. They stopped before a geode of medium size, its surface turned towards the starry sky. Reese gestured for Kaelen to watch closely, their movements fluid and unhurried. As Kaelen's eyes adjusted, they began to see it, tiny, almost imperceptible points of light appearing on the cool stone surface kissed by the starlight. Slowly, miraculously, these points coalesced, gathering into minuscule droplets that shimmered with the soft, internal light of the deepest, purest cobalt blue. It was unlike any dew Kaelen had ever seen. It didn't merely reflect the starlight. It seemed to hold a gentle luminescence of its own. As more droplets formed, a subtle sound emerged, so faint it was almost below the threshold of hearing. It was a high, clear, resonant hum, like the distant ringing of tiny crystal bells, seeming to emanate from the dew itself. Simultaneously, a delicate scent unfurled in the cool air, clean, cool, almost electric, reminiscent of the air after a gentle night's rain shower, but purer, clearer. Kaelen breathed it in, feeling a wave of immediate calm wash through them, settling the mind and soothing the senses. Reese produced 2 shallow collecting vessels from a soft pouch at their belt. They weren't bowls, but rather perfectly smooth, thin shells, shaped exactly like fallen leaves, their inner surfaces polished to a gentle sheen. With infinite care, Reese demonstrated the technique. Holding the leaf shell just below a cluster of glowing droplets, they used the edge of another, smaller shell to gently coax the dew to run down onto the waiting surface. The movement was minimal, patient, utterly respectful of the geode and its precious offering. The collected dew pooled in the leaf shell, a tiny puddle of liquid starlight. Reese offered one of the leaf shells to Kaelen, their expression encouraging. Kaelen took it, noticing the smooth, cool feel of the polished shell in their hand. Hesitantly at first, Kaelen approached the geode, trying to emulate Reese's slow, deliberate movements. Finding a small cluster of the luminous blue droplets, Kaelen held the shell beneath and tried to guide the dew with the smaller shell. The first attempt was clumsy, the dew clinging stubbornly to the geode's surface. Kaelen took a calming breath, remembering Reese's patience, and tried again, focusing entirely on the delicate touch required. This time, a few droplets released, sliding silently onto the cool surface of the leaf shell. They retained their soft cobalt glow, shimmering gently. Kaelen felt a quiet thrill, not of excitement, but of connection. A connection to this ancient place, to the starlight, to the sleeping stone, and to the gentle magic unfolding before them. They continued slowly, carefully, collecting more droplets, finding a rhythm in the patient, mindful movements. The coolness of the dew felt clean and pure against the edge of the guiding shell. They worked in companionable silence as the stars began to pale almost imperceptibly. The only sounds were the near silent slide of dew, the soft whisper of their own slow breaths, and that incredibly faint, high, clear hum emanating from the collected liquid. Reese moved with practiced ease, gathering the dew efficiently but without haste, their presence radiating a profound calm that seemed to steady Kaelen's own hands and mind. It wasn't just about collecting, it was an act of participation in the valley's gentle nocturnal cycle. As the collection continued, Kaelen became more attuned to the subtle sensations, the coolness of the stone beneath their fingertips where they braced their hand, the surprising weightlessness of the collected dew in the shell, the way the faint hum seemed to vibrate subtly through the shell into their palm. The air remained cool and still, holding the clean scent of the dew like a precious secret. The focus required for the task naturally quieted the mind, leaving little room for stray thoughts or anxieties. It was a form of active meditation. When the first faint hint of pearly gray began to touch the eastern horizon, signaling the imminent arrival of dawn, the formation of the dew slowed and then ceased altogether. The collected droplets in their shells continued to hold their soft, internal light for a time, but the source had faded with the starlight. Reese carefully placed a tight-fitting lid, seemingly made of the same smooth shell material, onto their collection vessel, then offered one to Kaelen. Securing the lid felt like protecting something precious, fragile, and deeply calming. Standing straight, Kaelen looked at the small amount of glowing liquid held within the shell. It seemed impossible that something so simple, mere droplets of dew, could hold such a profound sense of peace. Yet, breathing in the lingering, cool, clean scent in the air, feeling the deep quiet of the valley around them, Kaelen knew the whispered legends were true. The cobalt dew held a gentle magic, a soothing balm offered freely by the sleeping geodes under the quiet gaze of the night sky. The experience left Kaelen feeling not drained, but filled with a quiet, centered stillness. Chapter 3, The Geode's Hum. The days in Geode Valley unfolded with a gentle, unhurried rhythm, dictated by the sun's slow arc across the sky and the quiet needs of the valley itself. After the profound stillness of the pre-dawn dew collection, Kaelen found a simple pleasure in just observing the geodes during the daylight hours. They were different entities under the sun, losing their ethereal nighttime luminescence, but gaining a solid, comforting presence. The sunlight warmed their vast surfaces, bringing out subtle variations in color and texture that were invisible in the dark, faint bands of quartz, patches of smoother, almost polished stone, and areas with a slightly rougher crystalline feel. Kaelen took to finding comfortable spots to simply sit and be near the geodes. Sometimes it was nestled in the soft, dry grass at the base of one, other times perched on a smaller, sun-warmed rock nearby. One favorite spot was leaning directly against the smooth, gently curved flank of a particularly large ochre-colored geode. In the mid-morning, the sun would strike this side directly, and the stone absorbed the warmth, radiating it back as a gentle, pervasive heat that felt wonderfully soothing, seeping deep into muscles Kaelen hadn't even realized were tense. It felt like leaning against a slumbering, warm-blooded creature. It was while resting this way, eyes half closed, feeling the comforting warmth, that Kaelen first became aware of the hum. It wasn't a sound heard with the ears in the conventional sense, not at first. It was more a vibration, felt through the point of contact with the geode, a deep, incredibly low, resonant thrumming, like the slowest, deepest note of a giant stringed instrument being endlessly plucked. It was so subtle that Kaelen initially thought it might be their own pulse, but concentrating, feeling the steady, slow rhythm of it, distinct from their own heartbeat, they realized it originated within the stone itself. Curious, Kaelen pressed their ear gently against the warm stone. Now the sound became audible, though still incredibly soft, a low, resonant hum, steady and unwavering. It wasn't mechanical or intrusive. It felt organic, ancient, like the earth breathing in its sleep. There was something profoundly calming about the sound, this vibration. It seemed to resonate not just in the ears or through the skin, but deeper, within the bones, encouraging a state of profound relaxation and quietude. It felt grounded, anchoring Kaelen to the immense, slow stability of the valley. Reese, noticing Kaelen's focused stillness against the geode, approached quietly, settling nearby on the grass without a word for a long moment, simply sharing the peaceful atmosphere. Eventually, Reese spoke, their voice as soft as the breeze. "They sing their quiet song," Reese observed gently, gesturing toward the geode. "An old song of stillness and deep peace. The valley listens and is calm." Reese explained, in simple, spare words, that the hum was part of the geode's nature, perhaps connected to the way they absorbed and held the energy of the sun and stars, a constant, quiet expression of their ancient presence. Kaelen spent hours just listening, feeling that hum, sometimes with eyes closed, focusing entirely on the vibration and the warmth. Other times with eyes open, watching the way the sunlight played on the sparse grasses, noticing the slow drift of a fluffy cloud across the vast blue sky, or observing the unhurried movements of a small brown lizard sunning itself on a nearby rock. The hum became a backdrop to these simple observations, a constant, soothing presence that seemed to slow down time itself, allowing each moment to be fully experienced without urgency. The sounds of the valley during the day were gentle accompaniments to the geode's hum, the ever-present soft sighing of the wind through the dry grasses, the occasional distant melodic trill of a canyon bird echoing softly off the stone surfaces, the faint buzz of unseen insects hidden among the sparse vegetation. None of these sounds were sharp or jarring. They blended harmoniously, contributing to the overall sense of deep, abiding peace. The valleys seemed to absorb sharp noises, softening them just as it seemed to absorb anxieties. Leaning back against the warm, humming stone, Kaelen felt the gentle weight of their own body sinking downwards, supported completely by the earth and the ancient geode. There was no need to hold tension, no need to brace against anything. The warmth flowed into their back, spreading outwards into their shoulders and limbs, encouraging muscles to lengthen and release. It felt safe, secure, held. Kaelen focused on the sensation of heaviness, allowing their body to feel fully supported, letting go of the habit of holding themselves slightly rigid. Reese shared simple food during the warmer part of the day, sun-dried fruits that tasted sweet and intense, and cool water drawn from a hidden spring that tasted purely of minerals and earth. They ate slowly, mindfully, savoring the simple flavors, sitting together in comfortable silence near the humming geode. Reese's presence was as calming as the valley itself, demanding nothing, offering only quiet companionship and a deep understanding of the place's rhythms. As the afternoon wore on and the sun began its descent, the warmth radiating from the geode lessened, replaced by the stone's natural coolness. Yet the hum remained, a constant, quiet reminder of the deep, unwavering peace held within the valley. Kaelen found that even after moving away from the geode, the memory of that vibration, that warmth, that profound sense of stillness lingered. It was as if the geode had imparted some of its tranquility, a resonance that continued to soothe from within. The simple act of sitting, listening, and feeling had become a powerful form of healing, gentle and unassuming. Chapter 4. Crafting Calm. The small shelter where Reese lived and worked was simple and airy, built partially into the earth at the base of one of the valley's sheltering hills. Its walls were smooth, cool clay, and light filtered softly through openings covered with thin, translucent pieces of polished selenite rather than glass, casting a gentle, diffused glow within. The air inside was cool and smelled faintly of dried herbs, mineral dust, and the clean scent of the Cobalt Dew, which Reese stored carefully in sealed shell containers on a low shelf. It was here, in this atmosphere of quiet industry and peace, that Kaelen began to learn the art of crafting with the dew. Reese explained that the Cobalt Dew's soothing properties could be gently infused into other substances, creating balms and pigments that carried the valley's tranquility beyond its borders, meant not for magic in the grand sense, but for simple personal comfort. The process began with selecting the herbs. Reese had bunches of dried plants hanging from the low roof beams, fragrant lavender buds, soft chamomile flowers, earthy valerian root, and others Kaelen didn't recognize. Reese guided Kaelen to choose by scent and feel, encouraging them to notice which fragrances felt most calming, most grounding. Kaelen selected chamomile for its gentle apple-like sweetness and lavender for its familiar, relaxing aroma. The next step was grinding the dried herbs. Reese provided a heavy, smooth stone mortar and pestle, worn almost bowl-shaped from years of use. Kaelen measured small amounts of the chosen herbs into the mortar. The repetitive motion of grinding a slow, steady, circular pressure with the pestle quickly became meditative. The gentle crunch and scrape of the herbs breaking down under the stone was a soft, rhythmic sound. As the herbs turned to powder, their fragrance intensified, filling the cool air with a wonderfully soothing blend of chamomile and lavender, mingling with the ever-present mineral scent of the shelter. Kaelen focused on the feel of the stone pestle, warm from their hand, moving against the cool stone of the mortar, the texture of the herbs changing beneath it. Once the herbs were finally powdered, Reese brought out a container of smooth, cool clay, the color of pale river silt, dug from a shaded bank where a tiny spring trickled. Using a smooth wooden spatula, Reese showed Kaelen how to measure a small amount of the clay into a clean, shallow wooden bowl. Then came the moment to add the Cobalt Dew. Reese carefully unsealed one of the small shell containers, revealing the faintly shimmering blue liquid within. Using a tiny dropper made from a hollow bird bone, Reese added just a few drops of the precious dew to the clay and powdered herbs. Kaelen watched, fascinated, as the dew touched the dry ingredients. It didn't just moisten them, it seemed to subtly enhance their color, and the faint, clean scent of the dew rose to join the herbal fragrance. Reese then added a little pure spring water and guided Kaelen in mixing the ingredients together with the wooden spatula, slowly, patiently, until a smooth, consistent paste was formed. The coolness of the clay felt pleasant against the wood, and the paste itself had a lovely, soft texture. The blue of the dew wasn't obvious in the final mixture, but its presence was felt a subtle clarity, a hint of that unique, calming scent beneath the herbs. Reese explained that this mixture could be used as a soothing balm, applied gently to the temples or wrists, or further diluted to create a gentle, calming pigment for painting or writing. Kaelen tried making a small batch on their own, focusing intently on each step, measuring the herbs, feeling their dry fragility, grinding them slowly, releasing their scent, enjoying the rhythmic motion, adding the cool clay, the precious drops of Cobalt Dew, the water, mixing slowly, watching the ingredients combine into a smooth, fragrant paste. The process required focus, but it was a gentle focus, absorbing the mind without causing strain. There was a quiet satisfaction in the creation, in handling the natural materials, in participating in an ancient, simple craft. The repetitive motions were calming, allowing the mind to settle. There was no pressure to achieve perfection, only encouragement from Reese's quiet presence to be mindful and gentle in the process. The air in the shelter felt thick with peace, scented with earth and herbs and the subtle magic of the dew. Kaelen felt their own breathing slow and deepen, matching the unhurried rhythm of the work. Kaelen transferred a small amount of the finished balm into a tiny, smooth wooden pot Reese provided. Touching a fingertip to the cool paste, Kaelen smoothed a little onto their wrist. The balm felt cool and silky against the skin, and the combined scent of herbs and the faint, clean note of the dew rose gently. It was immediately soothing, a tangible reminder of the valley's peace. It wasn't a dramatic effect, but a subtle invitation to pause, breathe, and feel calm. Over several afternoons, Kaelen practiced making the balm and experimenting with diluting it into pigment, painting simple, flowing shapes onto smooth, flat stones Reese provided. The colors were soft, muted earth tones, subtly enhanced by the dew's presence. The focus remained on the process, not the result. The gentle brushstrokes, the feel of the cool stone, the quiet atmosphere of the shelter, it all contributed to a growing sense of inner quietude. Crafting became another way to connect with the valley's tranquility, turning simple actions into moments of mindful peace, feeling the gentle weight of contentment settle comfortably within. Chapter 5. Valley's Embrace. Weeks had flowed by, measured not by urgency or obligation, but by the gentle cycles of sunlight and starlight across Geode Valley. Kaelen no longer felt like a visitor, but rather a quiet participant in the valley's ancient rhythm. The persistent hum of inner restlessness that had driven the long journey here had softened into a background murmur, often completely silenced by the profound peace of the place. The valley hadn't offered grand solutions or dramatic cures, but something far more valuable, a space to simply be, to breathe, and to rediscover a natural state of calm. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in familiar soft hues of lavender and rose, Kaelen chose not to return to the simple sleeping alcove near Reese's shelter, but to stay out amongst the geodes, finding a familiar spot nestled in the dry, soft grass near the base of a large gray geode whose surface felt cool and smooth against their back. Kaelen settled in to simply watch the night arrive. The air grew cooler, carrying the clean scent of minerals and the faint, sweet perfume of unseen night-blooming flowers from the higher slopes. The transition from dusk to night was seamless, gradual. The colors faded from the sky, replaced by an immense canopy of deepening indigo, soon pricked by the first faint stars. Kaelen watched them appear, one by one, then in clusters, until the sky was awash with soft and distant light. There was no need for conversation, no need for activity. It was enough to sit, feeling the solid presence of the geode behind, the soft earth beneath, and the vast, quiet expanse above. The gentle sighing of the breeze through the grasses was a familiar lullaby. As the starlight strengthened, Kaelen knew the Cobalt Dew would soon begin to form. There was no need to gather it tonight. Reese had shown that taking only what was needed and allowing the valley its own cycles was part of maintaining the balance. Tonight was simply for observing, for being present with the quiet magic. Kaelen watched the smooth upper curves of the nearby geodes, waiting for the first telltale shimmer. And then it appeared, tiny points of soft cobalt light coalescing into luminous droplets, just as they had that first night. The faint, high, clear hum began, almost imperceptible, weaving into the soft sounds of the night. The clean, cool scent of the dew drifted on the gentle air currents. Witnessing it again, not with the focus of collection, but with simple appreciation, felt deeply peaceful. It was a quiet miracle, unfolding patiently under the vast indifference of the stars, a testament to the gentle, persistent magic woven into the fabric of this place. Kaelen breathed deeply, feeling the calm associated with the dew settle into their very core. Leaning back more fully against the cool stone, Kaelen felt the gentle weight of their own body relaxed and at ease. There was a pleasant heaviness in their limbs, a sense of release in the shoulders and neck. Thoughts drifted through the mind like slow-moving clouds, observed without attachment, allowed to pass without stirring disturbance. The profound stillness of the valley seemed to create space, allowing the mind to quiet itself naturally without effort. Kaelen reflected on the journey, not just the physical travel to the valley, but the inner journey towards peace. It hadn't been about fighting the restlessness, but about finding a place, both external and internal, where it could simply rest. The mindful observation of the geodes, feeling their warmth and hum, the patient rhythm of collecting the dew, the grounding, repetitive motions of crafting the balms, these simple, gentle activities had become anchors, drawing Kaelen back again and again to the present moment, to the tangible sensations of peace. Reese's quiet guidance had been invaluable, not through lengthy instruction, but through example, through presence, through embodying the valley's serene spirit. Their companionship had been a comfort, undemanding and deeply accepting. Kaelen felt a quiet gratitude for Reese and for the valley itself, for offering this sanctuary, this chance to heal in stillness. As the night deepened, the air grew cooler still, and Kaelen drew their simple cloak tighter. The stars seemed incredibly bright now, undimmed by any competing light. The hum of the geodes felt like the valley's sleeping breath, a constant, reassuring presence. Kaelen felt completely safe, held within the valley's embrace. The anxieties that had once felt so large and consuming now seemed distant, their edges softened, their power diminished by the sheer scale of the peace surrounding them. Closing their eyes, Kaelen focused on the sensation of the cool air on their face, the solid support of the geode, the soft sound of the wind. They felt anchored, grounded, yet also light, unburdened. Sleep wasn't far away, beckoning gently. There was no resistance, only a soft yielding to the invitation of rest. Here, surrounded by the sleeping stones and the shimmering dew, under the vast, silent gaze of the stars, Kaelen felt a quiet contentment, a deep sense of having found not just a place, but a state of being peaceful, whole, and at rest. The valley's embrace was complete.